Hi, Tom from bknutrition.com, and today I want to talk about what to do when life doesn't go to plan, when your diet doesn't go to plan, and things happen which push you off your course. Things you couldn't plan for, couldn't have possibly thought that they were going to happen to you, and all these things happen, and then the reaction you have is, oh, well, that's happened. What am I going to do about it? I'm so worried about it. And then you start to go, the net result is you go and overeat because you're stressed about a situation. And the net result of that is you go off your diet. And the net result of that is you gain all the weight back again. You become really depressed because that thing happens. You couldn't control it. And because of that, it forced you to overeat, etc., etc. Now, this sounds a bit silly, but it's something that happens a lot with my clients. And how you react to that and the things you take away from that is going to be what defines you in terms of, are you going to be successful on weight loss, or are you going to be perennially doing diets thinking it's all going to be rosy and perfect, and then something happens which throws you off and all of a sudden it isn't rosy and perfect, and then you're overeating loads. So and we've all been in this situation where life has thrown us a bit of a curveball and we're not sure how to deal with it. So what I want to talk about really is a process called the ACT technique, which I use with clients, sort of based in a sort of stoic mentality. I'm a big fan of the sort of stoic mentality of thinking about things you could actually control and not worrying about the things you can't control. So this is what we want to apply to our weight loss or our fat loss efforts. So the ACT technique is that we accept that something's happened which we can't control. We control our reaction to it, and then we take a new direction based on an action that we choose. Now, the difference between the ACT technique and what normally happens with people is that most people overreact. So what they do is this thing happens, they worry about it, but they can't control it, and they're worrying about that fact cause them to then go off plan and do something impulsive. Their muncher brain comes out and says, let's have a load of chocolate because we're stressed about this situation. They go and eat a load of chocolate, which is a choice that they haven't made really in their own mind. They overeat. Muncher goes back to sleep because he's now happy that you're happy that you've eaten chocolate. You are happy for a second. Then the muncher goes back to sleep. Your logical, what I call TVOR brain, comes out and goes, shouldn't have eaten that chocolate. And you go, yeah, we shouldn't have eaten it. I've ruined my diet. So what we can do instead is sort of prevent that thing happening by engaging the ACT technique. So we accept that the situation has happened. We control our reaction to it. So we can't control what's happened, but we can control how we react to it. And then we take a new direction that we've chosen to do. So an example of this would be, say you're late at work, or you're having a late meeting at work. So you can't really control that, because if you work for someone, they might decide that you're going to have a late meeting. You can't control that. You can't influence your boss. You can't control what they're going to think. So they've called a late meeting. So you can't do anything about that. But you can control your reaction to it. So if, for example, he's called this late meeting, if you know in advance that they've called this late meeting, which is outside your normal schedule, then you can plan by taking some food in to eat either during the meeting or straight away after the meeting. If you don't know about the meeting and it's just been called as because there's some sort of crisis at work, what you can do is already have that contingency plan in place and have some low-calorie snacks in your desk that are there exactly for that purpose, to be able to take into the meeting, or have when you come out of the meeting, so that if you come out when you're hungry, because generally when we come out of late meetings, I've had this when I used to work for a big multinational, is that you come out of these meetings and everyone's hungry, or even if it's a long meeting, they call in some sort of late night takeaway or something like that. If you've already got food in your desk which you can take out, maybe microwave heat, or it's in the freezer or something like that, freezer at work, and you can take out and microwave heat it, so you've got your own meal as opposed to getting the takeaway meal, there's an option there. Or if you're ordering takeaway in for that meeting, you can look at, say, what the lower calorie options are. Or you can even plan for thinking about, right, well, I'm gonna have this takeaway, so what I'll do is I'll just reduce my food over the next couple of days by a couple of hundred calories to account for that. So these are all actions that you can take, that you can control, that you're not overreacting to it and going, oh, now I've called this late meeting, now I haven't got any food to eat. the takeaway comes in, oh, I'm going to overeat on the takeaway, and then you beat yourself up for a couple of days because you've done that. And that is a reactionary method, but what you can actually is plan in advance using that technique. And so so you can take the new direction that you've chosen by having either all these things in place already, or thinking about reducing your calories for the next couple of days as a result to cope with that. So that's the ACT technique in action, I should say. Or you've got to think about a few things then. There's a few techniques I use, so there's an if this then. So if this happens, then I will do that. So this is forms part of the ACT technique. So if my boss calls a late meeting, then I will make sure I have snacks in my drawer to be able to have just in case that happens. Or if the boss calls a late meeting and I don't have any snacks to hand, then I will order a low-calorie version of the takeaway. Or if the boss calls a late meeting and there's no low-calorie option for the takeaway, then I will restrict my snacks for the next 2 or 3 days to compensate for the calories that I've overeaten during that takeaway meeting. Now that's a very specific situation, but it's relevant to a lot of people maybe watching this. But also you can think about how you can apply that to your own life. And there's dozens and dozens of situations I could discuss. These are the things I work with one-to-one clients. We talk about the things that are specifically happening in their lives, which might come up from their work, from their social lives, from their family lives, all these things that might come up, and then how we're going to deal with those. Now, there's going to be things that you know might happen from previous experiences, which you can say, well, that happened before. I wasn't ready for that. So how can I plan for it in the future? And again, that's part of the ACT technique. So the unusual event happens, you accept it happens. You can control your reaction to it. The fact that, okay, I can't actually do anything about it today because this is something that's happened which I've not ever had happen before, and it's something I can't plan for, I can't control, I can't have made preparations for it because it's completely new to me. So what I'm going to take away from this is I'm going to take away a solution for next time. And remember that overeating once is not a major issue with a diet. We're talking about average food over the course of the week here. So even if that situation happened with the boss calling a late meeting and you overate and everything else, and just accept it's happened. It's not gonna scup you for your whole diet by overeating one event. But what will happen is if you think that has ruined your whole diet, you will then go off your diet, and that will ruin the whole diet. So if something's happened which is completely out of your control, just accept that it's happened, control your reaction to it, and then take an action which you choose. So for the next time, you plan ahead so that doesn't happen again. And again, it's these things we're talking about. Weight loss is over the course of an average of weeks, of months. One event's not going to ruin that. So don't ever think that one event has ruined your life. Just accept it's happened and move on. Don't overreact and start worrying about it and start thinking, well, how am I going to control that happen? Because you can't control some of these things that happen outside your life. You can control things that are in your immediate grasp and your reaction to those things. And that's what we take away, and that's what we affect our lives with. And things happen. Okay, things happen which are worrying for us, but in terms of we can control our reactions to them, we can't control them happening. So that's a really important thing to take away, especially with weight loss, because there are going to be things that happen which are outside your control, and you need to accept that they're going to happen, and rather than worry about them, worry about how you're going to react to them. So I hope this video has been helpful and you've got some insight from it. Certainly it's something that I'm continuing to work on myself. Things pop up all the time with my diet and nutrition, and I have to create new routines for that. It's just things that happen. Just accept that they've happened, move on from them, create a solution for next time. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time. Cheers.